and you're in. There we go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Disney Antiquities and Collectibles. My partner and I would like to welcome the legendary Bill Farmer. You may all know him. Mr. Farmer, good afternoon. How you doing today? How's your Sunday going?
Getting to be in a Disney antiquity, so it's very
don't label yourself as that. You're not just yet.
Oh my goodness.
Disney legend, yes. Antiquity, no.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, Disney legend. I wanted to ask you the first thing. You keep something that's very important to you. It's a book of matches, and it's from March 16th, 1982. Ooh.
Oh,
Can you tell us about that date, March 16th,
We've been talking to Jennifer.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, that is a place called the Comedy Corner in Dallas, Texas. It was the first time that I went on stage as a stand-up comic. I had gone to that club a couple of times before, and they had an open mic night on Tuesday nights where anyone could get up and do 5 minutes of comedy. And, I grew up with all the great comics on TV, Ed Sullivan Show and all of that kind of stuff. And I always thought that'd be so cool. And I've always loved comedians. And I thought, do I have the guts to go up and try this? Well, I finally got up the guts and went up, wrote a little 5-minute doing an impression thing, and it got some good response. And the house comic in that club at the time was a guy who's gone on to much more fame, Bill Engvall, and he was with Jeff Foxworthy, and the they've done movies, and he's done really well. And he was the first one that said, you ought to try this more often. You ought to come back. And so I started going back and everything. Long story short, it turned into a career for several years as a stand-up comic.
Whoa!
And to my coming out to California in 1986, and without that, there wouldn't have been my career as Goofy or anything else.
Have you done all the comedy houses?
I've done a lot of them. Yeah, I've done the Ice House. I've done, of course, the Improv, the Comedy Store, all of those. And yes, that's a tough way to make a living, though. It can be brutal, especially the first 3 months.
Oh, you're on the road and everything? Wow.
Oh, yeah. I've done enough of that, but that's
been there, done that.
So you got out here to California. How did you transition from comedy into, I'm going to do voiceover work? What led you to that?
Well, it was really back in Dallas where I lived. I've always done voices and impressions and stuff. And so I was able to get a commercial agent in Dallas and done some, they don't do cartoons there. And on the advice of an agent that I had, they said, with all the kind of cartoony voices and things you do, you ought to give it a shot in Hollywood just to see what it was like. And my wife, Jennifer, and I lived in, Dallas, and we decided, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to jump off the tight wire and see what happens. And I came out here, got an apartment, and as luck would have it, about 5 months later, my agent said, do you do any of the Disney characters? Because at the time, there were 4 or 5 Mickeys, Donalds, Goofies, and they wanted, Roy Disney, Michael Eisner wanted to settle on one person for each of the main characters. And I said, sure. So they gave me a cassette of the original Pinto Colvig and some old cartoons. I studied it for a weekend, laid down some tracks on a Monday. And about a month later, they said they'd like to use you.
Wow, now, what an honor.
They don't sign you to a long-term contract or anything. It's for one job only. And I didn't know if they'd ever use me again. I'd hoped so. And that was a kind of a terrifying event, my first job, because I'd never been in a big studio and everything. And what do I do? that kind of thing. But I got through it, and I got to do another one about a month later and a month later, and they kept calling and calling. And now it's
here we are 30 plus years later.
Yeah, they're still calling me.
Right.
Yeah. How did you develop Goofy? How did you, from the Garsh, how did
before you do anything, I mean, say Garsh. Can you say Garsh for me?
Garsh. Oh, I'd be glad.
You made my day. I can now hang up and go away.
Well, Goofy was my favorite Disney character growing up when I was a kid. And
Really?
I don't know, I just thought he was a
Yeah.
great character. And so I would run around the house and do all of these kind of voices and just practice it. And, I'd see a Bugs Bunny cartoon and I'd run around the house. Oh, brother, give me a carrot, eh? Yeah.
Mel Blanc is probably just laughing right now.
And all of these kind of things. And so I kind of built a little repertoire of these. And my parents were like, something's wrong with him, They didn't get it. But and I never thought it'd turn into a career, but it finally did.
I heard a bit of Yosemite Sam in there and Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
You did those voices as well, didn't you?
Oh, I did that in the movie.
Oh my God.
Yes. And I was very fortunate. I was able to meet one of my idols, Mel Blanc, before he passed away.
Yes.
And that was a great thrill for me because
did he pass off any secrets that he had to you?
He thought that Pinto Colvig's son did Goofy's voice.
Oh,
and he said, "Oh, I thought I thought Pinto's kid did that." And no, I did, because he has a son, Noel Blanc, who's filled in for Bugs and stuff. But Warner Brothers would have more people do a Disney set on one voice, so you always heard that same personality,
that consistency,
voice, and so that familiarity. And I think that's why those characters have had the longevity they have.
Well, it's funny. There's been like 7 people that have done Goofy's voice.
Yeah. Well, he's been around 90 some years.
I know. Yeah, that voice never gets old.
You took over the reins from Bill Ryan, correct? Bill Ryan did Goofy before you did.
Bill Ryan.
Bill did.
Yeah.
And Tony Pope had done that. Hal Smith is doing it.
Hal Smith,
it's kind of like what I say, 4 or 5 guys were doing it at the same time. And but they wanted to settle on one, and so I won the audition out of all those guys.
And you also worked with Dawes Butler, did you not, at Hanna-Barbera?
Yes, I did. Dawes Butler, for those that don't know, was a great voice actor who did most of the Hanna-Barbera, like Yogi Bear, hi boo boo, hi Yogi, and all those, and Captain Crunch, and really some major characters. And when I moved out, someone had said to me, a friend of mine, "Oh, you want to learn voiceover? Take classes from Dawes Butler." And I'm saying, "The Dawes Butler?" And I called him up, and his real voice was kind of like Captain Crunch. He was, "Oh, hi, Bill. Come on over and on Wednesday nights, and we learn part of voice acting. It's $10, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it." And he was so nice and so much wisdom. And we had a lot of great people. Corey Burton and Nancy Cartwright were in my class too, and took classes from him.
Oh my gosh.
He was the one that really was the first to instill in me that it is not voice acting, it's voice acting. The acting is the important part. The voice will follow, but the acting has to lift those words off the page.
Well, your body of work has been so impressive. Obviously, won several awards. I was impressed by the fact that you're a Disney legend, obviously, but you've got the Annie Award, you've got a Frizz Award. I mean, what other awards have you gotten in your career?
Well, I've been nominated a couple of times for Emmys, and I've done a lot and gotten smaller awards, like from my hometown in Kansas, made me the first member of their Hall of Fame at my high school back in Pratt, Kansas.
Congratulations.
And,
Congratulations.
It's a small, doesn't really mean anything to the larger world.
Well,
but
it means something to you.
Yeah, and going back to the old roots in the high school, and that's cool. That's cool to get recognized by them.
Yeah. I mean, all your friends that said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna make it big," and you actually made it big.
Yeah, I think I ran into some old girlfriends. If I knew you're gonna be a big star, I would have kept dating you.
Hey, did they write in your yearbook? This is the voice of Goofy.
If I'd taken the yearbook back, I bet they would have. But that's always nice when you get those kind of smaller awards too. But the Annie, and obviously the Disney Legend Award is the big one because I got it with the same day of as like Betty White and Robin Williams and some big people, and so my hands are in the imprint over at the Disney Studios and their legends
up on the columns and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great honor.
Bill, I gotta I gotta ask you, did you literally with friends go around to drive-throughs?
I wanted to ask that question.
And drive-throughs?
I did that a few times. Yes, yeah. My friends would ask me to do some weird voice, and I think one of the favorite voices that I probably did was like Mr. Haney, Green Acres. If you remember Green Acres, Pat Buttram, who Coca-Cola, a cheeseburger, and some fries, and they'd look out and stuff. It was just kind of joking around with all this stuff.
I would have loved to see the face on the person at the fast food counter that was hearing these voices. Probably was blowing their mind.
What's going on out there? That's a Green Acres here,
How often are you doing voice work? How often are you doing Goofy? How often are you working? Is it still a regular
quite a
thing?
bit. Every week it seems like. Let me see. Friday I did a show that we have on now called Mickey's Fun House, Mickey Mouse Fun House. On Tuesday I'm doing a Minnie's Bow Tunes episode. And on Monday, we're doing one that I probably can't even mention yet because it hasn't been released yet. So we always do the voices first, then they animate them. So it's like a year down the road, it'll come out on television.
Were you ever involved with the Disney Afternoon?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Back in the old days, of course, my first series was Goof Troop, which is Disney Afternoon. And that was a biggie for me because it was the first series that I ever had. And I had no idea that this thing would have lasted as long as it has, because a lot of people think I'm a Disney employee, and I am not, never have been.
You're a contractor?
Really?
I am an independent contractor. I am just a plumber, and so every job I do is a new contract for that particular cartoon. And so I've now done about 4,000 jobs for Disney over the last 38 years. And they're still calling me.
Well, does that apply then to the other studios as well? You're a separate contractor to them as well?
Absolutely. Every job I do is a new contract. Yeah. Wow. That's just the way it is in voiceover. So none of us are employees.
So for you, that's a good thing because
no 401k, no insurance, no health insurance.
No, we have health insurance, but I get it through Screen Actors Guild. Whoa. And so that's part of the deal with the Screen Actors Guild. Part of the income goes toward the health care and pension and that sort of thing. And so, I have to do it elsewhere, not through Disney.
Wow.
Okay. I was going to ask you, there's a gentleman watching and he wants to know, one memory that no one asks him about that you wish people asked you about. What's one memory that people don't bring up much, but you want to talk about that you like? That's your favorite memory. Do you have one?
There's so many roles that are like, there goes Skipper.
Hey, Skipper.
Skipper.
What voiceover work does he do?
He's a guard dog. There's a lot of characters that people will come up at Comic-Cons that when I attend and will have me sign for that I didn't even know they even remembered. Like one of the first video games I did was for LucasArts called Sam and Max Hit the Road. I played the role of Sam, which is a pretty popular character. There's a lot of stuff that no one knows that I even did, mostly in movies on like incidental voices and things. Like I always tell the most obscure thing I've ever done was in the movie Beauty and the Beast. I was in the group of actors that added the different, like group scenes, like the people attacking the castle at the end of the movie. I'm part of that, kill the beast, that kind of thing. And
you one of the guards and stuff.
One scene where Gaston is singing in a bar. And he's talking about decorating antlers and all this kind of thing. And he throws 3 eggs up in the air and they go, look, and that's me. So I'm egg.
Oh, wow.
And I love those little, very, no one would ever know that. And but it's fun when you hear that. You kind of know, oh, that was me. That was cool.
You do these like
it's your inside joke. You know. Yeah, it's your inside joke. How funny.
Yeah. Like
how many
Toy Story,
you said you've done
Monsters Inc., for example, some of the little yellow guys that find the sock on the one guy's when he comes back, that's me.
That's you.
Non-Disney movies,
you?
a lot of them. I was at the movie Shrek 2 that I did with my son, and there was a scene toward the end of the movie where they're having a big party at the castle, and there was an announcer that said, "Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Princess Fiona and Prince Shrek." And my son goes, "Hey, Dad, that was you." And I guess it was. I forgot. I totally forgot. I didn't even recognize my
Well, you have a very distinctive tone to your voice.
That's what
your voice is so. Yeah, your voice is so distinctive. You did other, the one thing. Did you ever do Huckleberry Hound? Did you ever do him?
No, that was actually Dawes's cousin from North Carolina. So I had that deep South kind of thing, but I never really.
Well, you're just doing Foghorn Leghorn, so let's hear a little more.
Foghorn Leghorn, the big old chicken. Probably one of my favorite Warner Brothers characters.
Yeah, when he confronts that little one, I'm looking for a chicken hawk. Oh my gosh! I mean, I can just hear it now.
The boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball.
those 3-word liners are just.
They were.
Yeah.
There's something kind of about a boy that doesn't like baseball.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Do they know you all over the world? Like when you go to Japan, do they know you, Bill? Are you well known in Japan as well?
I haven't
but
been.
You have to be in character to have them know you, right?
Some people do, but generally that's one of the nice things. And Dawes Butler used to say that was one of the best things about voice acting is that your character is famous, but you aren't.
Yeah.
And so I've never had any trouble. There are no paparazzi outside right now. I can go to the store anytime I want.
Oh, darn. Then you need to open your curtains.
But it's almost magic when you meet a celebrity or something someone that you admire and you do the voice for them and their eyes just kind of light up and they just, oh my gosh, it's like instant. There's a connection there. Yeah. And it's really because these characters are so important in people's lives and that they grew up with that there's an instant camaraderie that kind of comes about. I always say, Goofy's famous. I'm not, but I get to hang around with him.
Wow.
Yeah. That's impressive. You're a good buddy of his. I was going to say, because it's probably taken you all over the world, hasn't it? It's taken you all over the world to do different things.
Surprised. Really? No, I've never been to any of the Disney parks overseas.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've never, I've never been. I do occasionally do Comic-Cons in other places. I've been to England doing those and to Australia and New Zealand, stuff like that. But not through Disney. No, I'm kind of, and matter of fact, it kind of kept me close to home in the early days because when I was still doing stand-up, I quit doing stand-up because of Disney. I'd gotten the role and they'd call up and they'd say, "We need you tomorrow for a cartoon." And my wife would say, "Well, he's up in Oregon doing a comedy club and he'll be back on Monday." And they would say, "Well, if he can't be available, we'll maybe have to get someone else." And I said, "Quit. I'll hang by the phone. It's too much fun to give up."
Have you ever done multiple characters?
Disney pays a little bit better than stand-up comedians.
Oh. What'd you say, Greg?
I was saying, have you ever done like multiple characters in the same movie?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or switching between them and such.
Yeah, well, of course, the two big ones for Disney are Goofy and Pluto, but I'm also Horsecollar. I did a show called Amphibia, which was I play a character named Hop Pop, and rarely do they ever interact, but Goofy and Pluto are in about every cartoon together.
Yeah.
And so we'll do a run with Goofy first, but Pluto can be a little rougher on my throat, so we'll save Pluto and the barking and whoa, you do that for a while, and Oh, you start sounding like the Godfather.
Yeah. Got a little Marlon Brando going there.
Start going hoarse after a while.
There's a show that we did, a series called Mickey and the Roadster Racers, and I did about 30-some characters on that over the life of that series.
Whoa.
So they always see, the nice thing is on Screen Actors Guild, the rules, if you're hired for a role, they can use you for up to 3 roles without paying you any more. So for incidental, like, okay, you're the talking tree, you're the dog, you're the hot dog vendor, whatever, little, might be 1 or 2 lines. And so I always do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do you get royalties from past movies that you're on that come back and be? Oh, great.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, even before, I'm still getting residuals on, I think the first movie I ever did, which was one I did back in Dallas called RoboCop, the original RoboCop. I was an on-the-street reporter. And so, I still get residual checks for that.
Whoa.
RoboCop, going back to, what's that, 1988, somewhere in that neighborhood? Wow. 1986. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow.
Well,
then when you're preparing for a voice, how do you prepare? What's your preparation? Do you voice it in the mirror and or do you just kind of work it through in your head?
No, not a mirror, because that's kind of irrelevant in voiceover. So we just got a microphone. But what I do, and especially did in the early days, like, for example, if I got a character that I was voice matching, I would get a tape of the character and I would take a little sentence here and there and kind of do that over and over and play it back. Okay, it's got to be a little higher, a little lower, slower, faster, and try and do it until I'm kind of getting the idea of how this character talked, and then add more words until I can talk like that. In a character like Hop Pop on Amphibia, they just gave me a script and it had a picture of what they think the character is going to look like, and I just got to come up with a voice.
Is that how you came up with that one, Makoto Date? Is that how you did that one?
Mate, yes.
Okay.
That they did not want it. That was done in Japan first, and so they were all Japanese actors, but they did not want a Japanese style accent. They wanted, so I just kind of went with the emotions of him. He's kind of brooding. He can be a little tough, so it's a kind of a deeper voice and a little bit intense, And but they didn't want a voice as such. They wanted the emotion of the character more.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But if you're talking,
do you feel like yeah. So Bill, I mean, one of the things that we talk about, and you being a legend, I'm sure people have sent you so many goofy things and so many collectibles and things like that. Is there anything in particular that you love? Yeah. What is your collection like? Do you have anything that you collect?
Oh yeah, many things. Well, hold on one second here.
Oh, take your time. Take your time, Bill. Yeah. Guys, we're with the great Bill Farmer.
Fan learned out that I loved Halloween, and so they sent me this statue.
Oh wow!
Isn't that a neat one? And his eyes light up when you turn him on here and everything. But it's a real cool little thing.
Who was the artist? If we can give a shout out for that person.
I have no idea who the artist was. What is this? This is just the artist Costa Alvesos. Costa Alvesos.
Okay.
Whoa.
And I'll see if it even works. Let's see if it even works.
Kudos to that guy, man. That's a beautiful statue.
Isn't it a nice one? Yeah, it really is. Probably let's see.
Gorgeous.
No, battery's dead. So
very appropriate for a mummified Goofy.
And people send things all the time, and or bring them up to me, and just little things. I don't know, like someone gave me this. This is an interesting Mickey Mouse, or there's that Minnie. I guess that would be Minnie, who's like,
oh, is that
Funko? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. Oh, and there's a Mickey from the same thing.
Oh, Sally. That was a Sally.
Yeah, there was another one from
oh, cool.
kind of a crossover
Boogie. Yeah.
Mickey and Oogie Boogie there, I guess.
Yeah.
And here's one
do
from
you collect them?
Yeah, I do have some collections of things. This is really old. This is from Alco Duck Walls, which was a department store in my hometown in Kansas.
Whoa.
I had this little thing, and
you squeeze it and he flips over and stuff.
He flips over.
Yeah.
And so that's probably from the 1950s there. So
very cool.
So yes, I got a lot of pictures and stuff around.
So you've got a lot of inspiration, a lot of reminders around you at all times.
Absolutely.
Basically.
They're of all good times. All good times.
Are you going to keep doing Goofy as long as they'll have you? Is that something? Do you still enjoy doing it as much as when you started?
Oh yeah, every time you got to do something. I've never been one that wanted to retire. And people always say, why don't you retire? You're old enough. But I mean, why? It's the most fun job there is. I get to inhabit this character and bring him to life every week. And it doesn't take that much of my time. We usually record on Mondays or Fridays. And so I have most of my week open, but it's just a blast. And I get to work with my son. We get to create something. And then, a year later, I'll see it on television, and then, oh yeah, I remember doing that.
I can't see you aging out of this character. All I can see is your voice getting much more richer as you get older. That character of Goofy is going to be that much better for the rest of us.
The nice part is that I don't look like I did when I started this job, but
who does?
The same. So, and actually, I think I'm better at it because I think I'm a better actor. And the more you know a character, the more of the personality you can put in it. And so that's really where the secret of doing these voices is. You're not doing a voice. Are you
ever telling the directors of these different movies that you're involved in? Are you ever telling them this is what Goofy would do, as opposed to having them tell you what they think Goofy should do?
Yeah, I'll change lines of script if I don't think it fits the character, and I'll usually say, hey, how about if he says this? And I'll try it. And quite often they'll say, yeah, that is better. Let's use that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm sure they're taking your input. You probably got people, that are just coming up that, are going, all right, what would Goofy do? And they're asking your opinion, so that seems like
you're the leading authority on Goofy.
Yeah.
Well, I've been hanging around and Pluto too, Pluto's actually tougher to do. Like I say, it's rougher on the vocal cords. And then they'll always have a line like a quizzitive, affirmative nod or bark. How do you do that?
Years of experience.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you currently doing any work with Warner Brothers as well, and any of those other studios?
No. Mostly it's just Disney, and I've backed off a little bit. I'll never back off of the Disney stuff, but I don't audition as much for new things that might be more stressful on my a lot of video games, like I did the Yakuza games. And every once in a while I'll do that, but I don't push it the way that I used to, because I still get plenty of work with Disney, and I've been very fortunate with the 7D as Doc in, that was a series, and Amphibia, and we did our live action show that was on Disney Plus for 3.5 years, which was called It's a Dog's Life with Bill Farmer.
Wow.
Which we actually went around and found out about real dogs. And I was on camera finding out about these real dogs that have amazing jobs, which was a delight, because first time I've ever pitched a show to Disney, sold a show to Disney, produced it, and starred in it. And we went to 11
dog related, huh?
All dog related. We went and visited the mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, who was a dog. They elected a dog.
Really? They elected a dog?
Yeah, they elected a dog. And I asked one guy there, why did you elect a dog as your mayor? Well, he's a lot better than the guy we did have. What they do, it's a little, it's a very small town, but they have elections
Obviously.
every year. It's $1 a vote. You have to buy a vote, but you can do it from anywhere, and you can vote as many times. They use that money to help keep the stores of this little tiny town in northern Kentucky.
Didn't any of the cats object?
They make money that way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a dog. It can be. It was a donkey once. So
equal rights for donkeys and cats.
Yes. And that was bizarre. And the Cincinnati Zoo was one of my favorites, where they are raising one of their cheetahs with a dog. They didn't have a cheetah, but they need a sibling. They like a sibling, and a dog will work fine. So this dog and a cheetah are being raised together. And then in about 3 years, these cheetahs are much bigger and they are fast, And but they
I love to see a barking cheetah.
Yeah.
Pick up those traits.
Cheetah. Oh. So you got to do that for 3 years. So you did that for 3 years. Is there any chance you'll get to do it again? Did they like it?
Love to. They're kind of going through upheavals over there at Disney Plus and everything, and they had that on, and I'd love to do another season of it. There's so many stories we didn't get to tell. And a dog that we went to Hawaii in our last episode, and there's dogs that try and find snakes in imported cars that come from other islands. They don't want a snake to hitch a ride in the wheel well of a car and then in fact get loose in Hawaii, which
so do those snakes put off a specific scent for these dogs?
Yeah. The scent glands of a dog are so amazing. We did one avalanche rescue dogs where they buried me in the snow on a mountain in where was it? In Colorado, at the top of a mountain about 14,000 feet. And they actually had to bury me. But these dogs can smell a person that's trapped under an avalanche down to about 20 feet. It's amazing what these dogs can smell and use their smell for.
Did they use a specific dog, a breed for that?
In the Telluride in Colorado, they were using what were they? Golden retrievers or a Labrador retriever. But they were teaching them, and I find most rescue dogs and things like that are usually mutts. They generally aren't purebreds, and usually they don't make that great pets because they're just hyper and they want the toy, and I'll find the guy for the toy, and a lot of training.
So you're a big dog advocate.
Yes, I am.
You're a big dog advocate. So you just rescued a dog. Are you involved in any other groups that are rescue, anything like that, Bill?
I'll give money when I find things like rescue dogs or something. And I've given money to shelters and things just because I just love them. I think they're great. And I've had we were without a dog for about a year before we got Skipper, and the house was just kind of
lonely.
It was warm and inviting when there's not a dog there. And when my wife goes on a trip or something and she leaves me here, he's such a great companion, and he'll sleep on my lap, and they're just great. If you ever have a high blood pressure, get a dog. They'll be right down. Now, if he chews up my shoes,
I gotta ask.
But other than that,
I was raised with cats and dogs, and I can relate.
Yeah, do you talk to him in your voice, Bill? Do you
do I what?
Do you talk to him in any of your voices? Do you talk to Skipper in any of your voices?
Figure what he would sound like. He's part bully and American bully and Chihuahua and French bulldog. So he'd probably be, what's a French bulldog? He'd probably be
like Pepe Le Pew
in New York. Yeah, this is the way. But in another French accent, and to be like a French bulldog.
He probably understands you too.
Yeah, he'll look at me. I try a lot of voices on.
Do you ever talk to him in Goofy? Do you ever sound like Goofy to him?
He doesn't react. He just kind of looks at me like, "What are
you doing, Dad?"
Yeah, you're going for dinner. And he'll know the word dinner, then food. Okay,
that's the magic word. It's not the voice tone. It's the word.
I can always look at the word trying to figure out my word. Are there any words in there I know, like walk or food or dinner or whatever?
Treat.
Yeah, treat. Walk and are you hungry? Want some food? And he's ready.
Yes, Daddy.
You were mentioning off podcast earlier that you and your son are going to be performing recently or coming up. You want to tell everybody about that?
I'm going to be on the Disney cruise. It's the first international Disney cruise one that I've been on, and it's in the Mediterranean. And but I'm going to be performing a couple of songs from a Goofy movie that I sang. And but Max isn't going to be with us, and so my son has kindly said that he would help out, and so he's going to be singing with me for the first time on a stage on a Disney cruise ship. I'm not even sure which ship it is yet, but that's in May, and I'm looking forward to that.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very.
I was gonna say, and the whole family's going.
Working with family.
The whole family's going. Your wife is going.
Yeah, I wouldn't pass that one up because I've never been really in the Mediterranean area. So we're going from Spain to over to Italy and stopped in between, and it's going to be great.
I would imagine you're probably going to be stopping at St. Marco Square.
We could be. I think we get to go to Pompeii, which I'm especially excited to see, and to take a tour of that. And it's my first time there, so I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. All right. So so this is the first time you're performing basically with your son, just in front of people, correct?
Yeah, it's Okay. I've done a couple of other little kind of impromptu things, but this is the first really scripted show with my son, except for him running the board here when we record a cartoon.
Is he on the other side of the camera right now?
No. This is just I just got my laptop here.
Okay.
But I can turn it around and you can see the kind of the outfit we use here.
Yes.
You see, that's kind of what we have here.
Oh, Macintosh.
Oh, wow.
Mac Studio.
Yeah. And behind me is my microphone that I use. I sit. Let me see if I can get it there. You can kind of see. Yeah, so I just sit there, and that's where we do it, and that's where all the cartoons come from.
That's impressive.
That's where the magic happens. That's where the Disney magic happens.
That's where it happens.
I'm used to seeing studios where they have those funky like triangle pyramids coming out of the walls to reduce the the noise, background noise and such.
Yeah.
Yours is just an office, like my thing right here.
Room, and we do have some things up here. We have some panels up here to help with reflections, but it has a great sound, and that's all you need. If it's the right sound, it works.
It works.
How long have you been using that studio? How long have you been using?
All the way through COVID.
How long have you been using that?
We're all stuck at home. We started doing this, and so all of us had to record from home, and we just kind of kept with it after COVID kind of went away because it's so easy, and we had the procedure down. They just email me the scripts, and I don't even have to print them out anymore. I just got it on an iPad, and I just pull it up, and we go through the lines. And it's non-linear, so I don't do it with Mickey and Donald and everybody. I just do my lines. They edit them in later on, and that's kind of it.
As I'm listening to your voice, Bill, you just remind me of that guy who used to do the Mutual of Omaha commercials.
There was the what was it? The nature show. What was
that? Bill Burrid or something, or
one of those guys.
that's what I'm seeing right now.
Omaha.
Mutual of Omaha.
I used to watch that show.
There was the Mutual of Omaha.
Wild Kingdom.
That was it.
Yes.
Wild Kingdom. Yes.
And
Wild
they'd always
Kingdom.
do
Thank you.
tie-ins. They used to have commercials in that show all the time, and they always have weird lead-ins like, the turtle has a shell to protect him, but what do people have? They have Mutual of Omaha insurance. Nice segue.
The turtle has
one of those shameless plugs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you first? Were all these influences on you? All these shows from being a kid?
Oh, yeah.
What was the first voice that you tried to mimic?
I would just love the movies, and I just love television. And I don't know, I just kind of found that I had a little propensity for imitating, and I just kind of practiced on these TV shows and would practice the thing for no real reason other than it was just fun. And then my friends caught on it, and that's when they'd like later on take me through
drive-throughs
order. And then in college at band breaks, I was in a fraternity, and at a band break, they'd say, "Hey, Farmer, get up and do something," So I had to kind of start writing something to perform. And so I started writing jokes and everything. And that kind of led to the stand-up. And I did radio for a number of years, and then stand-up for about 6 years before. So I was doing stuff for about 12 years before I got the role of Goofy. So it's like, it didn't come suddenly. A lot of people think it's, wow, overnight, but no, not at all.
Not to put you on the spot, but could you just give me a little brief of one of your stand-up routines that you do?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Gosh, what kind of things did I used to do? I would, like I used to do a Johnny Carson and that old Karnak thing. I don't know if anyone even remember.
Yes.
He would always have these envelopes with answers, and he'd go, and the answer is Donald Duck. And the question, what do you say to a Disney character during a drive-by shooting? Donald Duck, bad jokes like
and it's seriously funny, Bill, because when we go places, my partner will tell people, "Oh, Vince is Johnny Carson and I'm Ed McMahon." And so we're sitting there looking at me, and I'm like, well, I don't do that, but I mean, that's what he equates us to. Donald Duck. Oh my gosh! Did your parents get to see you perform? Did they see all this?
My mom did. I lost my dad when I was 19, so he really never got any inkling of all this. My mother did, and she would see me at comedy clubs, and it was around till. And I'd done about 10 years of doing Goofy before she passed away. And she got a chance to see it all. And I'm very happy.
Was she your biggest fan?
She was, I think. Yeah, she would. When I do a stand-up or something, if I did something that was a little risque or something, she'd laugh, but go, "Oh, that's terrible." You laugh. That's the whole point.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Right.
Hey, I've got a guy who's asking me, did you do the Kingdom Hearts games? Did you do Goofy in the Kingdom Hearts games?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
And, yeah, that's actually the longest running series I think we've had, because I think the first one came out in 2002, I think.
Whoa.
And so it's been 20 some years, and I know that that's one of the only things we've ever done that was done in Japan first. So what I'm doing in the studio, I'm hearing the Japanese Goofy. It's already been animated, and I'm trying to put the English Goofy in the same amount of time that the guy's doing Japanese Goofy, and trying to match the lip flaps as much as I can, so they have very little reanimation to do, because that gets expensive. And it's people always say, what do you think? I never get a sense of the story, because you jump around. The script is like 1,000 lines or more, and it takes a long time. And it's like, okay, you're on page 1, you're on page 18, page 84, 126, and you have 3 or 4 lines. And then Mickey's talking in Japanese, and I'm responding, "Or Sora, let's go," and I don't get a sense of what the story is. So it's a difficult style of acting, but they're great games. And I watched my son play it. I can't play it, but
yeah.
So, so when you're in the studio, are you seeing the faces of the other voiceover actors?
No,
no, separate rooms entirely.
The finished game that they did in Japan, and we're turning it into English.
Whoa.
And I'm not with the other actors, so I'm just doing Goofy's lines and adding my take on those lines, and and Japanese is a little faster than English generally,
yes.
Or at least faster than the way that I speak as Goofy. And so cramming those words in there, sometimes I got to kind of hurry it up because we can't really stretch it either way. So I've got to get it right in that pocket, and that makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Pinto
Kovic did Goofy's high-pitched laugh, and there is a gentleman named Dan, one of our listeners. He asks, "Have you ever attempted that high-pitched Goofy laugh? Have you?"
The yell, the Goofy yell, as we call it. I do that quite often. But that wasn't even Pinto Kovic. That's kind of a misnomer. That was for a guy named Hans Schroll, who was a yodeler in the cartoon 1947, I think it was, The Art of Skiing. The beauty of skiing is that, kind of thing. Exactly. That's
wow. You happen to have that, Vince? Is blowing me away.
That's amazing.
I keep that with me. Oh yeah. Bill Farmer is always with me. Bill Farmer is always on my desk. Since
here in the heart.
And again, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Like, I'm geeking out right now, and I'm trying to be really cool about it.
You're dealing with two fanboys here, Bill.
I've known you since I was a kid. My daughters know you. My granddaughter knows you. Everybody knows you. So, I mean, you've got 3 generations of fans alone. So, I mean, it's hard not to go, "Oh my God, Bill, can you sign this? Can you do that?"
Totally.
But yeah,
I mean, everyone should be a Goofy fan. He's a great character.
Yeah. Do you get calls to do Horace Horsecollar very often? Are you still doing
Horace with that character?
Because you don't hear requests for Horace very often.
You wouldn't have believed what just happened. My
Skipper knocked something over.
Came in with this on his head.
Oh no! He's going, hint, hint, Dad, feed me.
I should have tipped the camera down there. What are you doing? Okay.
It's lunchtime, Bill. It's lunchtime.
If you want to know what Goofy's dog looks like, this is.
There we go.
Can you look in there? Can you look there?
There's
going,
Skipper.
Give me a treat, Dad.
There's Skipper, everybody. Goofy has a dog.
Yes, Goofy has a dog. This is
so
Goofy's
Danny DeMeyer, one of our admins, asks, "Okay, if Mickey's a mouse and Pluto's a dog, what is Goofy?"
What is Goofy? That's the big mystery.
I think they've never really had. They say he's not a dog. He's like an anthropomorphic dog. But the way I like him, he's kind of like he's a mog. He's a man dog. He's a
man dog.
A wolf is not a dog, but it's a canine. So Goofy's a canine. But I think the Latin name Goofus Canis, I think, would be
Goofus Canis.
Canis Goofus.
Goofus Canis.
That's what he is.
Oh my goodness. So when's the next time, because I know Disney likes to bring you in. Are you going to be at Disneyland anytime soon? Are they going to be doing anything for you? Because you just had an anniversary, so I mean, they've got to be,
well, I'm working tomorrow from here and doing a cartoon and on Tuesday. And there's always events. I'm going to be going down to Disney World later in the spring for a couple of events. And I never know that much ahead of time, really. Quite often, it's like, this is for next week. And that's about the lead time I get. I don't know what they're cooking up.
Yeah. Do you ever get to work with the animators at all? Do you ever Do you ever go into the studio and work with the animators on something or a project? Does that ever happen?
No. Well, the last time I was really with the animators and creators was they did the Once Upon a Studio cartoon. That's on Disney Plus with all of the Disney characters.
Yeah.
And Eric Goldberg, who did all the 2D animation on that and did the genie from Aladdin, he drew that. He's an amazing guy.
He's an incredible artist.
Of all of the 2D animation on that. And I've worked with him on occasion, but generally, no, it's pretty well fleshed out before I get my my mitts on it. And mine is like, like what you'd said earlier. If maybe something doesn't sound exactly right for Goofy to say, I'll make a suggestion. Well, let's say it this way. And I'll do it 2 or 3 different ways. And, oh, I like B. That was good, And so that's, I'll just put my 2 cents in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bill, I know your dog. I know Skipper's probably pretty hungry and he's probably yanking at you. So, you know what? It has been such a pleasure. It has been such an
Bill,
honor.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was delightful. It was a lot of fun.
I hope
you're such a fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, amazing. Guys, everybody, again, the great Bill Farmer. And Bill, thank you again. And anything you want to plug other than the cruise ship, anything that you got coming up that you want anybody to see or take a look at?
Anyone's ever thinking of getting into voiceover, they can learn by listening to some demos and stuff. They can go to my website, which is my company is toonhouse.com. TONHOUSE.com. Or see what my son's up to at his website, drumfarmer.com, and see him do his wonderful drumming and stuff. He's great, not just because he's my son, but he really is good. And and then just who knows what's coming up in the future,
Yeah.
Never know.
Hopefully we'll get to talk to you again in the future and see what else you got coming up, because I know this is still a long ways from ending.
Oh,
I'd love to know how the cruise went.
Yeah,
I will tell you that. Well, after cruise, we'll do one of these, and I'll tell you all.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you much, guys. Take care, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Bill. Have a great one.
Take care, Bill.
Take care.